Underestimated strength. Captain Maya Chen stood at the edge of the Galactic Assembly Chamber, her crisp navy uniform a stark contrast to the myriad of colors, textures, and forms that filled the vast amphitheater. The chamber itself was a marvel of alien architecture. Perfect dome with walls that shimmered like liquid mercury, constantly changing color to reflect the emotional tenor of the discussions taking place within. Today, those walls pulse with vibrant oranges and amused yellows. The aliens were entertained. Maya kept her expression neutral as she watched the proceedings. As Earth's sole representative to this gathering of over 300 species, she had learned to mask her emotions. 6 feet tall with sharp features and eyes that missed nothing, she had been chosen not just for her diplomatic skills, but for her ability to remain composed under pressure. Today, that composure was being tested. "The humans have barely mastered interplanetary travel," said Ambassador Kforl, a gaseous being contained within an elaborate crystal vessel. His words emerged as puffs of colored vapor that were translated by the chamber systems. They reached their own moon less than 2 centuries ago. By our standards, they are infants. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The Galactic Assembly had convened specifically to discuss Earth's petition to join their alliance. From Maya's perspective, it wasn't going well. Ambassador Vrek of the Taurians rose next, standing 9 feet tall with 4 arms and skin like polished obsidian. He commanded attention. The Taurians were among the oldest species in the galaxy, and their opinions carried significant weight. "I have studied human biology," Vrek announced, his deep voice resonating through the chamber. "Their bodies are fragile. They lack redundant organs. They have no natural defenses beyond their skin. They require constant maintenance, regular sleep, specific atmospheric conditions, narrow temperature ranges." He paused, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "And yet they propose to join us as equals." Laughter echoed around the chamber. The walls shifted to a brighter yellow. Perhaps most concerning, continued a floating collective of crystalline entities known as the Lumina, is their tendency toward violence. Their history is soaked in the blood of their own kind. They fight over resources, territories, ideologies. They are dangerous, not because they pose a threat to us, but because they pose a threat to themselves. Maya's hand tightened around the small data drive in her pocket. She had hoped it wouldn't come to this, but the direction of the discussion left her little choice. Elder Syphax, the ancient mollusk-like being who served as moderator of the assembly, turned his eye stalks toward her. "Captain Chen, you have heard the concerns of the assembly. Do you wish to respond before we vote on Earth's petition?" Maya stepped forward, her footsteps echoing in the sudden silence. The aliens watched her, some with curiosity, others with thinly veiled condescension. "Honorable representatives of the Galactic Assembly," she began, her voice clear and unwavering. "You have raised valid points about humanity's youth as a spacefaring species. We acknowledge our biological limitations and our troubled history." She paused, scanning the chamber. "But I believe you have fundamentally misunderstood what makes humans unique in this galaxy." "And what might that be, Captain?" asked Chloral, vapor swirling amusedly in his crystal vessel. "Rather than tell you, I would prefer to show you." Maya removed the data drive from her pocket. "With the Assembly's permission, I would like to present evidence that may provide context for your deliberations." Elder Syphax consulted briefly with the representatives nearest to him, then nodded. "Proceed, Captain Chen." Maya approached the central platform and inserted the data drive into a universal port. The chamber lights dimmed, and a holographic display materialized above the center of the room. The walls of the chamber darkened to a deep blue. "What I am about to show you is classified material," Maya explained. "It documents an incident that occurred 14 months ago at our research outpost on Delta 7, in what you call the Cygnus Arm. Until now, only the highest levels of Earth government have had access to this footage." The hologram resolved into a clear image of a space station orbiting a small rocky planet. The station was modest by galactic standards, a central hub with 3 extending arms, each housing different research facilities. The name Outpost Delta 7 was clearly visible on its exterior. Delta 7 was our most distant research facility, Maya continued. It housed 73 scientists and support staff, studying stellar phenomena and searching for habitable worlds. On Earth date, July 17, 2189, the outpost received an unexpected visitor. The footage showed a massive ship appearing at the edge of the Delta 7 system. It was unlike anything in Earth's fleet, angular and predatory, with a surface that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. We had never encountered this species before, Maya said quietly. They did not respond to communication attempts. In the hologram, smaller vessels detached from the main ship and approached the outpost. The assembly watched in silence as the vessels surrounded Delta 7. Dr. Eliza Kimura was the station director. Maya explained as the footage shifted to show a woman in her 50s with short gray hair and determined eyes. This is from her personal log. Dr. Kimura's voice filled the chamber. Unidentified vessels have surrounded the station. They've ignored all attempts at communication. I've ordered all non-essential personnel to the secure areas. Security Chief Reynolds has armed the staff, but we have limited weapons. This is a research station, not a military outpost. Whatever happens, we will maintain scientific protocols and attempt peaceful contact. The footage shifted to show the first boarding party breaching an airlock. The aliens emerged, tall, skeletal figures with elongated limbs and skull-like faces. Their skin was pale gray, and they moved with unsettling grace. They carried weapons that pulsed with energy unlike anything in Earth's arsenal. A murmur ran through the assembly. Several representatives leaned forward, their attention fully captured now. The Voidwalkers, whispered Ambassador Vrek, all 4 of his arms tensing. Maya nodded. We didn't know who they were at the time. We had no records of them, no way to understand their intentions. The footage continued. The first human the Voidwalkers encountered was a young technician who raised his hands in a universal gesture of peace. The Voidwalker shot him without hesitation, the energy weapon reducing him to ash in seconds. Gasps echoed through the assembly chamber. The walls turned a deep, disturbed purple. The Voidwalkers proceeded to systematically hunt down the station's personnel. Maya narrated as the footage showed the aliens moving through corridors, killing everyone they found. They were methodical, efficient, and completely uninterested in communication. The hologram shifted to the station's command center, where Dr. Kimura and a small group of survivors had barricaded themselves. Their faces showed fear, but also determination. They've taken the engineering section, reported a young man in a security uniform, blood streaming from a wound on his forehead. They're downloading our databases. Dr. Kimura nodded grimly. How many of our people are still unaccounted for? At least 30, scattered throughout the station, replied a woman at a communications console. We can't reach most of them. And the distress signal? Sent, but the nearest Earth vessel is 3 weeks away. Dr. Kimura closed her eyes briefly, then straightened. Then we're on our own. And we need to assume these beings are hostile with unknown capabilities and intentions. She turned to the security chief. Reynolds, what options do we have? Reynolds, a compact man with a military bearing, gestured to a station schematic. They've got superior numbers and weapons. A direct confrontation would be suicide. But they don't know the station like we do. You're suggesting guerrilla tactics? Asked Dr. Kimura. Reynolds nodded. Hit and run. Use our knowledge of the station layout. And he hesitated. I have an idea, but it's risky. The footage shifted again, showing small groups of humans moving stealthily through the station's maintenance tunnels and air ducts, spaces too small for the taller Voidwalkers. They communicated with hand signals, setting up ambushes and traps. In one sequence, a pair of scientists used the station's fire suppression system to flood a section with heavy gas, disorienting a group of Voidwalkers long enough for security personnel to overcome them and capture their weapons. In another, a maintenance worker reconfigured a gravity plate, causing voidwalkers to be suddenly pinned to the ceiling when they entered a chamber, making them easy targets. The assembly watched in stunned silence as the footage showed humans, scientists, technicians, cooks, janitors, transforming into a coordinated resistance force in a matter of hours. Dr. Amir Hassan was our chief medical officer. Maya explained as the footage showed a serious-faced man working in what appeared to be a makeshift laboratory. He had never designed a weapon in his life, but within 6 hours of the attack, he had analyzed the Voidwalker's physiology from a fallen attacker and created a neurotoxin specifically tailored to their nervous system. The footage showed Hassan explaining to Reynolds how to deploy the toxin through the station's ventilation system in specific sectors. And this, Maya said as the hologram shifted again, is Dr. Kimura making the hardest decision of her life. The footage showed Kimura alone in her office, recording what appeared to be a final message. "If you're seeing this, then our plan worked, at least partially," she said, her voice steady despite the exhaustion evident on her face. "I've set the station's reactor to overload. The Voidwalkers are after our research, our technology. I cannot allow them to take it. Reynolds and his team have secured an escape route to the emergency shuttles for as many of our people as possible. I will remain to ensure the overload cannot be stopped. This is not a decision I make lightly, but it is necessary. For those I leave behind, know that Earth will remember your sacrifice." Maya paused the footage, the image of Dr. Kimura's resolute face frozen above the assembly chamber. The walls had turned a deep, somber blue. "Before I continue," Maya said quietly, "I want you to understand something. None of these people were soldiers. They were scientists, engineers, maintenance workers. They had families, dreams, research projects they were passionate about. They weren't trained for combat. They were ordinary humans placed in an extraordinary situation." She looked around the chamber, meeting the gazes of the various representatives. "And what you are about to see next demonstrates exactly why humanity should not be underestimated. Revelation and consequences." Maya resumed the footage. The hologram showed Reynolds leading a group of survivors through maintenance tunnels toward the emergency shuttle bay. They moved quietly, efficiently, using hand signals to communicate. Among them were scientists, technicians, and administrative staff. People who, just hours before, had been focused on research and discovery. "We have 12 minutes before the reactor goes critical," Reynolds said in a hushed voice. "Everyone stay close." The footage shifted to another part of the station, where 2 engineers had created improvised explosives using materials from a chemistry lab. They set them at strategic junctions, creating diversions to draw voidwalkers away from the escape route. The assembly watched as a young botanist, no more than 25 Earth years old, volunteered to be the one to detonate the explosives, knowing it would likely mean her death. The camera lingered on her face as she said goodbye to her colleagues, her expression a complex mixture of fear and determination. Dr. Raya Tanaka. Maya identified her. She had been studying plant adaptations to low-gravity environments. She was scheduled to return to Earth the following month for her sister's wedding. The footage followed Tanaka as she moved through the station, remote detonator in hand. When a group of voidwalkers approached the junction where the survivors needed to pass, she pressed the trigger. The explosion rocked the station, drawing the attackers away. As they moved toward the source of the explosion, Tanaka revealed herself, leading them further from the escape route before triggering a second explosion that engulfed her and her pursuers. A heavy silence fell over the assembly chamber. The hologram shifted again, showing Dr. Kimura in the reactor control room. Her hands moved steadily over the controls, bypassing safety protocols, redirecting coolant, ensuring the coming overload could not be stopped. Behind her, the door burst open, and 3 voidwalkers entered. Kimura turned to face them, unarmed but unafraid. One of the voidwalkers approached, studying her with its hollow eye sockets. For the first time, one of them spoke, its voice a disturbing modulation of tones. "You are the leader," it stated. Not a question. I am the station director, Chimera confirmed. You will stop this destruction. I cannot. The Voidwalker tilted its skull-like head. You have made it irreversible. Chimera's expression remained steady. Yes. Why? For the first time, emotion flickered across Chimera's face. Not fear, but something like pity. Because you left us no choice. You came without warning. You killed without provocation. You gave us no opportunity for dialogue, for understanding. Whatever you wanted from us, this was the wrong way to seek it. The Voidwalker was silent for a moment. Then, you are destroying valuable knowledge. Knowledge we created, Chimera replied. It was ours to share, or to destroy. A low alarm began to sound throughout the station. The reactor overload had begun its final countdown. Your species is primitive, the Voidwalker said. Your technology is basic. Yet you choose destruction over submission. Chimera straightened, her voice firm despite knowing she was living her final moments. It is not primitive to value life. All life, including yours. We attempted communication. We offered peace. You chose violence. Remember that. The footage shifted to the shuttle bay, where Reynolds and the survivors were boarding the emergency vessels. The station's alarms blared, warning of imminent destruction. We've got 17 people, reported a technician, her voice tense. Everyone else is either confirmed dead or unaccounted for. Reynolds looked at the group. Scientists, technicians, kitchen staff. Many were injured. All were traumatized. But they were moving with purpose, helping each other into the shuttles. What about Dr. Chimera? Someone asked. Reynolds' expression was grim. She's making sure we get away. Everyone in now. The shuttles launched, barely clearing the bay doors before the first explosions began to tear through the station. The survivors watched through viewport windows as Delta 7, their home and workplace, began to break apart. In the final moments, the reactor went critical, consuming the station and the Voidwalker ship that had remained too close. The hologram showed the aftermath, the debris field where Delta 7 had been, and the 17 survivors huddled in emergency shuttles, waiting for rescue. The footage ended with a memorial service on Earth, where the names of the 56 who didn't return were read aloud. Maya removed the data drive, and the chamber lights returned to normal. The walls of the assembly had turned a deep, contemplative indigo. For nearly a full minute, nobody spoke. The representatives of the Galactic Assembly looked at Maya, no longer with condescension, but with a new awareness. Finally, Elder Sifax broke the silence. Captain Chen, the Assembly thanks you for sharing this difficult record. His eye stalks swiveled, taking in the reactions around the chamber. It appears we have much to reconsider. Ambassador Toral's vapors had darkened to a thoughtful blue within his crystal vessel. The Voidwalkers are known to us, he admitted. They are an ancient species that views all others as resources to be harvested or obstacles to be removed. They have destroyed or subjugated dozens of emerging civilizations. No other species has successfully repelled them with so few resources and so little warning. What happened to the survivors? Asked a representative of the Mira Collective, a species of small, empathic beings. They returned to Earth, Maya answered. After a period of recovery, most have continued their work in different facilities. Dr. Reynolds now trains all our outpost security teams. The experience has changed them, but not defined them. Ambassador Vrek rose, his 4 eyes focused intently on Maya. What happened to the Voidwalkers? Their ship was destroyed, but they are not so easily eliminated. We encountered them again 8 months later, Maya replied. They attempted to attack another outpost. This time, we were prepared. We had studied their technology from fragments recovered after Delta 7. We had developed specific countermeasures. She paused. We offered communication first. When they refused, we demonstrated that attacking humans would carry a cost they might not wish to pay. And they retreated, Vrek stated, not a question. They did. We haven't encountered them since. though we remain vigilant. The Lumina Collective floated forward, their crystalline forms catching the light. You have shown us humans under extreme stress, Captain. It is compelling, but perhaps not representative. One incident cannot define a species. Maya nodded. I agree. This was an exceptional situation, but it demonstrates something fundamental about humanity that I believe has been overlooked in your deliberations. We are adaptable. When faced with challenges, we innovate. When confronted with threats, we cooperate. Our history is indeed marked by conflict, but also by an extraordinary capacity to change and grow. She looked around the chamber. You've called us fragile. Our bodies may be, compared to some of yours, but our will is not. You've called us primitive. Our technology may be, by your standards, but our ability to use what we have in unexpected ways is not. You've called us dangerous because of our history of conflict, but that history has taught us the value of peace. Elder Sci-Fi considered her words. You make a compelling case, Captain Chen. But the question remains, is humanity ready to join the Galactic Assembly? Can you abide by our laws, contribute to our collective knowledge, and refrain from bringing your conflicts to our shared spaces? We don't claim to be perfect, Maya answered honestly. We're still learning, still growing. But we believe in the principles your assembly was founded on: cooperation, mutual respect, the exchange of knowledge, and the peaceful resolution of differences. She straightened her shoulders. And perhaps in some small way, we might even contribute something unique to this gathering of ancient and wise species. Ambassador Toral's vapors twirled thoughtfully. And what might that be, Captain? A fresh perspective. Maya replied simply. New questions, different approaches to old problems. The enthusiasm of the newcomer, tempered by the hard-won wisdom of our own difficult history. The chamber fell silent again as the representatives considered her words. The walls shifted gradually from indigo to a gentle purple, uncertainty giving way to curiosity. Finally, Elder Sci-Fi spoke. This matter requires further deliberation. The Assembly will recess to consider Earth's petition in light of this new information. His eye stalks swiveled toward Maya. Captain Chen, the Assembly thanks you for your candor. As the representatives began to disperse, Ambassador Vrek approached Maya. Up close, he was even more imposing, his obsidian skin reflecting the chamber's lights like a polished mirror. An interesting strategy, Captain, he said, his deep voice pitched low for her ears alone. Most petitioners attempt to impress us with their achievements, their advancements, their culture. Would that have worked? Maya asked. Vrek's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, the Taurian equivalent of a smile. No, we have seen countless wonders, Captain Chen. What you showed us was something rarer, the character of your species under pressure. And your conclusion? Vrek studied her for a moment. I have lived for nearly 1,000 of your Earth years, Captain. I have seen civilizations rise and fall. I have witnessed technological marvels and biological wonders beyond your imagination. He paused. But I have rarely seen the particular combination of qualities your species displayed in that footage: resourcefulness, sacrifice, cooperation across specialties, and perhaps most notably, the choice to destroy your own knowledge rather than let it be misused. He extended one of his 4 hands, a gesture Maya recognized as significant, as Taurians rarely initiated physical contact with other species. I will support Earth's petition, he said, with conditions, of course. Your species has much to learn, but perhaps in your own way, you also have something to teach. Maya took his offered hand, feeling the cool smoothness of his obsidian skin against hers. Thank you, Ambassador. As Vrek departed, Maya remained in the now empty chamber, looking up at the walls that had shifted to a calm, thoughtful blue. She reached into her pocket and touched the data drive that held the record of humanity's darkest hour and finest moment. Whatever the Assembly decided, she had accomplished what she came to do. She had ensured that when the representatives of the galaxy's oldest civilizations discussed humanity, they would do so not with dismissive amusement, but with respect, and perhaps even a touch of caution. The humans were coming to the stars. They brought with them their flaws, their limitations, and their troubled history. But they also brought something the galaxy might find valuable: the unpredictable creativity that comes from being fragile in a dangerous universe, and the fierce determination to survive and thrive despite it all.